Pleasant good evening to each and everyone in Georgetown, Guyana, the diaspora, and the world at large, friends all. Today I'm going to base this episode on the mad world that we are living in. The three things that we must be careful with: how we use it and what we say to others about it. Religion, racism, is two things that we must not get involved in, because no one see God or the devil, and God make man, man make religion. And whether you call God Allah, Bhagwan, or God, is the same person. So try, please, keep away from an argument which religion is better. Okay? And politics is one of the most deceitful things on the face of the earth. I quite agree we have to choose people to lead a nation, to administrate, and we have to put them there. But the world gone mad. When you put them there, they lie so much, and when you put them there, they make laws to protect themselves, friends, and the corrupt ones, and we becomes the victim, but we to be blamed, not them. Think of it. Politicians will tell you what they feel you want to hear. And once you fall into that, they know how to ride it. And you put them in power, and they're full of excuses. But they are prone to the law. That is why you need a government for all the people, by the people, and where the law of the land is for everyone. Not for you and not the politician. I want a law in any country that I'm living in that no politician is above the law, and none of them can make a constitution that they cannot be tried for crime that committed against other people by them, their friends and family, once they are getting involved in it. We have seen in India, religion have separated a great nation. Hindus versus Muslims. And we see in Bangladesh separate from Pakistan because of political nonsense, want to rule their own. Ladies and gentlemen, it is very hard to say, but we have seen it. We've seen it in Africa. We see it with the Taliban. And many people, if you don't convert to Islam, then you're in trouble. Or if you're in a Hindu country, you better be a Hindu. Like Modi said, India is only for Hindus. Why we have to live like this when our time is short on the earth? And nothing lasts forever. We have seen too much. And then we have seen the political nonsense. Then we have seen racism, especially in the West Indies, the Americas, and the European continent. And I am tired of listening white man slave us, who's a black race. Friends, if you read the Holy Quran and the Bible, it spoke about slavery. And slavery of the African descendant only begins in the 16th century along this hemisphere. At that time, 1492 and whatever before, a little after, Columbus and all of them said they discovered land that people were on it already. But call it what it was. We today are benefiting from it. Because they may have had a different way of using their words as conquerors and claim, like those European, as we said, a white man, which I don't believe in that, it's Europe, bought the slave from Africa, Mother Africa. It was sold by them, to them, by ancestors and the people who in charge, because there were 9 tribes, like the native Indians in the Americas. The European also, as the white man, he was a slave too. And for you, my African brothers, the Moors ruled Portugal and Spain and other European nations during the period of 700 years. Who was the most? Find out. I will leave you to find out that. But civilization have came a long way. I heard many of my relatives and friends, black people discover this, they make this, they make that. Maybe all these things are true, or maybe in the textbooks. But if you are the architect of something, why you did not improve on it and make it universal, you had to wait, and the white man, as you say, stole it from you. Well, then he's a good thief. Friends, those things to me is lame excuse. In the African continent 100 years ago, 1,000 years ago, that human civilization could recall with historian writing stories. All the stories you read is not truth. Some make up with 10% or 11% truth, but the rest was fabricated in order to keep a certain group of people in possession. That is why the whole world today is in trouble. So religion and politics is something you have to be careful with. In religion, Muslims claim Muhammad is a lost messenger, and maybe he was the best, but they believe in Musa and Isa, Jesus and Moses, Abraham. Same goes to the Jews. And the Hindus believe in Krishna, Sita, Ram, and whatever. But call it what it was. Why this generation, with much more understanding and education, cannot find a better way of living and unite with each other? Why? Do you know why? Because we still walking with a chip in our back, on our shoulder, what was told to us or what we read. It's time to draw the line. If I am a pure African descendant, which I am also African blood, and I'm condemning the European as racism and white man, I will not wear the suit, the shoes, the tie. I will not play with the guitars and the drums. I will not want to be a doctor, a pilot, a scientist. I will want to live my tribal way of life. But talk is cheap. Take all of the people. Some had a dream. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Stokely Carmichael, and not forgetting Malik, my friends, even Brother Farrakhan. But all these men learned from a book, or maybe it was handed down as a story. And they amplifying it instead of trying to stop, meditate, and look deeper. So 90% of them read and put it into their brain and react upon it. Whereas these things, a lot of it was only stories. If they go to Africa, India, China, Europe, and the Americas with the native Indians, the indigenous race, you will see some art that you will want to know how it came there. Who put it there? Then we have to deal with alien. We go to space. Man would never stop trying, but we will be our own downfall. Today in the Caribbean, every Caribbean island led by an African descendant. Why don't y'all open up it for the brothers and sisters in Africa to come? Since knowing the white man was so bad to you, as you say, and you're a ruling country that don't belong to you, open the bloody gateway and give them chance to enter. Because Mother Africa today, the leaders are 100 times worse than the European leaders. Okay? And today, a lot of them is spending money in Dubai, Saudi Arabia, France, and England, and Holland. Big houses. One in Ghana take a whole garage of plane to go and see man kicking ball, soccer, in Dubai, I think. my friends, we have to look after self-interest and get out of white man slave the black man. Every bloody race was a slave, whether to your own or another. And slavery was a business. Did you all eat chicken? You eat fish? You eat animals, beef, lamb, goat? They murder them when you buy it, then you committing a crime. But then we would eat our own human brothers, isn't it? Unless we are cannibals. Think and go deeper. Whatever happened, God Almighty have the power to bring an end to everything. And even though in the beginning of the time with Adam and Eve, a brother killed a brother. And away, he went away, and they say he came back with the tribe. Where was that other tribe? Which means Adam and Eve was not the only one neither. I'm asking a question here. So, if Adam and Eve was the first, then where did Cain get another race to come with his family? Was he having intimate relation with monkeys, dogs, elephants, or other animals? That is to show you something is not right. Now, I am not a scientist and a professor, but I beg God for knowledge and wisdom. And sometimes when we speak, we offend others, and others offend us the way they speak. Body language speaks more than the voice. Yes. When the European colonized Africa, they give you a school to teach you to speak their language while they themselves will try to learn yours. And when you get to come out by knowing the language, your name change because you were the property. Now you become managers, overseers, and today you're prime minister and president, and they are not there no more. Same goes to India, China. So in the Western power and Europe, I heard it, we were slaves. Every bloody human was a slave sometime or the other. Well, let me deal with Georgetown, Guyana, the great-grandchildren of slaves and cheap labor. The Portuguese don't talk about these things, nor the Chinese. The mixed race is there. They live between everybody. The native Indian, who we call the Amerindian, the indigenous race, they are there. But we heard the African descendant came out of Africa as a slave, but they inherit the whole Caribbean. They are some of the most educated people. They are millionaires and billionaires and in big investment. Pilots and doctors. Isn't these things had a price to pay? And today, you who speak about what white man has done to your ancestor, you are doing 10 times worse to your brothers and sisters just in your own country that you are prime minister and president. Ask who killed Rodney, who killed Winnie, and I think Dublin in Guyana. Find out. Well, as for the Indian, I must give them credit. They don't talk race, but they are the most corrupt people in Guyana and the world at large. They love to fight for land like our Jewish brothers. They love money. And when they have an education, or they have something more than you, they boast and brag and try to humiliate you and put you down like if you are nothing. But what they don't understand, every man or woman came with one drop of sperm before you came into this world. A drop of sperm that brought you into this world. You was not created. An artist may do a painting, may have more value than you because his imagination with a paintbrush. Or a man who do scalping for a living and scalp a statue have more value than you. But think. So therefore, in this 24th century, we must accept our fall. How our black brothers and sisters would like to return to Africa, as the Jamaican brother once said in America, back to Africa, went to Liberia, and treat his own black brothers and sisters, and I'm talking about the honorable, not the miserable, Marcus Garvey. What he done to the people in Liberia, sorry. Go! They treat the black own brothers and sisters like they were garbage. Go and see. Check from Nigeria all the way to South Africa how our black brothers and sisters are suffering because of our black taskmaster, and our police are corrupt, and the army killing and raping. But you are knowing it now because of cell phone. One man wants 6, 7 wives but can't take care of one, and got them in the field with their breast hanging down, with the baby in the back and the belly pregnant. That's the kind of life you want? Wake up to human civilization from one stage to the other. Now, historian says we came from ape. Well, if that is true, and we came from that thing called the ape or the monkeys, as they say, it is to answer my question clearly from one stage to the other. How we would like to go back looking like a gorilla or a monkey when we come out from it. They find all kind of names for it. Show me. Do you think Brother Obama that ruled America, if God said to him now, I will send you back to look like a gorilla or a monkey, since all human came from that, will he accept it? Sure no. Or his wife? No. Or President Biden? No. Or Kamala Harris? No. Not me, of course. Come on. Because we understand from one stage to the other. Why I'm saying that, if the scientists say it, I'm only trying to ask questions. So don't get it wrong. And every human being have a blood in their body and feelings. We are only separated by cultures and language. But every woman wants the same thing, a good husband and good children, even though her father might be a murderer or a rapist, or grandparents. Every man wants a good wife, even though his mother might be a prostitute. Come on. But then again, all of us with the human way of thinking want to go forward. When will we stop fighting each other and unite instead of killing, humiliating, criticizing, jailing innocent people when they speak out against us? Answer me. There is no such thing as a black man and a black woman, a white man or a white woman. If not, bring the other colors to me. Because if you are black and white in human being, you have to get green, blue, yellow, purple, and whatever color it is. I see it in animal, birds, and even fishes, even some scorpion, friends, and reptile. But human was made by the hands of God. And then I heard so many things from these fly-by-night historians. Black people was in South America before these Amerindians. Well, elephant and lion was in Trinidad and Tobago, Grenada, before it get to the mainland of Africa and India, isn't it? Come up from this nonsense. Then we have Black Lives Matter. After Stokely Carmichael, Malcolm X, and all our black brothers who have gone because they were misled and the quotation of it, and they galvanized a crowd, and they hammer upon it. But while they were preaching and telling you all these things, they were driving fancy car, living in nice house, while some of you couldn't even eat or pay your rent. Did they share it with you? Even the Bible says Jesus had woolly hair and his skin was bronze, which was considered to the historian, he's an African descendant. Who put him on the cross? Was it a European as a white man? Or a Chinese? Or an East Indian as an Indian? Friends, in this modern world of the 21st century, we are divided because of past teaching. It is time for we to stop this nonsense and unite. Now let me touch Guyana, Georgetown, Guyana. Many of my black brothers and sisters who may not have burned in the 60s open their mouth and say what they hear or what they think they're seeing right now. But if their parents is alive, who was before the 1960s, to witness what had happened to the Indian race, the East Indian race, during the 1960s of the 80-day strike, when Queen Elizabeth's sister, Princess Margaret, leave Guyana the Thursday night with 3 helicopters in the air to the airport at Kingston Airport. It was fire and brimstone in Ituni, Madja, Mackenzie, Wismar, Stouffville, Buxton, Pleasance, many hot spots where there were many black people living. Indians had to run for their life. Many were beaten. On the West Coast, one man eye was dug out. H&L Kissoon had to use a workshop as a makeshift shift to help the people coming from Mackenzie. Young 6 and 7 year little girl was raped and bottle was pushed into them, not by Indians, but by black people. When you accept your fault, then we can able to make repair. But Mr. Ali, an Indian from Lenora, he went to the UN and he said to the assembly, he's asking for reparation for the African slave trade. But he forget to ask for reparation for the Amerindian and for the East Indian that suffer under the hands of the great-grandchildren of slavery. Now, some of you say, why Karaya saying that? No, black people, it was black people. Because all of you condemning all the white people, even though plenty of them had nothing to do with it, and plenty of them themselves were slaves like the Irish and many more. And in France and England, they were killing each other. Oliver Cromwell take out the king head, King Charles. All right? And in France, they cut out the king and the queen head, Louis. Do your history. Who was Pharaoh? Who was Nebuchadnezzar? And all those jackals in the past. Before you open up your mouth, go and have a look into the mainland where it all happened. Human civilization that came from the dark ages to a brighter future. Today you have cell phone, you have motorcycle, you have cars, you have plane, and you drive past your brothers on the street and sisters without even helping them. You find out about George Correa in Guyana. When I drive my car, I never leave a person stand up waiting to go to the same journey where I am going. Whether you black, brown, yellow, green, or purple, once I have seat in my car, I'll open the door and ask you to enter. And if I got to go an extra mile to put you off for my destination, because you enter my vehicle, I will gladly do it. An Indian police by the name of Bacchus saw me do that, stopped me and said, I see you running higher and your car is private. I said, did you see they give me any money? And he hit me and I hit him back by his belly. And I told him, the hands that you hit me with and your foot will break. Ladies and gentlemen, it wasn't long, he was in the hospital. Both hands was in plaster Paris and one of his legs. My God, don't leave me. Today in Guyana, what had happened to the Indian race under Burnham, and before Burnham was the CIA, because Dr. Jaga and the coolie man, the Indian man, so because a coolie, and that's how I ever call it Ra, Creole. The coolie man told John F. Kennedy he could stop the clock, but he can't stop communism. Was he mad? Was he aware that America went to war and signed an agreement in the Geneva? Are he aware of that? And the Monroe Doctrine? But he want to bring communism. So ladies and gentlemen, think, today we have lost a great soul in Guyana. Unite East Indian and Black after that division between Burnham and Jagan and the CIA. Indians Women had to have sex to get job. I was in a car, and I said it again, coming from Berbice, off of a ship. Going into Georgetown, I joined the taxi. There were an old black woman in the back, and I said it in your language, and a man, and another person. And I sit in front with a young Indian guy while the driver was driving. He was an Indian. And the guy had tears in the eye, and the driver said to him, "What happened to you, brother?" And the man was talking his story. He said his boss tell him he must bring his wife so he could have sex with him. If not, he wouldn't have a job. And the lady at the back, she said that is, and she happened to be an African descendant, a black woman. I'm only using your color because you said it. I got your blood in me, but she darker than me. She says, that gone too far. He should be ashamed to do something like that. He make me look bad. And the old man also joined with her and says, he looking for to lose his life. And I replied to the young Indian guy, why are you crying? Arrange it. And let your wife find a nice hotel where you can go. You go in the room and wait. And when they strip naked, cut him up to pieces. The man looked at me. He said, brother, me can't do that. That is why they take advantage of you Indians. When people is aggressive and they meet aggression like themselves, they back off. If you kill mine, I go kill yours. No, I'm explaining something, it's not that. But if both sides shooting, nobody want to kill each other. So we draw a line. America throw 2 bombs in Japan. They had to surrender over Pearl Harbor. They went into Vietnam. The Vietnamese fight back. They had to draw a truce because American people take the streets and call to end that war. France went to war. England went to war. The Apaches went to war. But then it's only killing each other for nothing. All comes because of political corruption. Everybody want to lead a person. In Guyana, a few dollars a judge sold their soul and lock up innocent people, and the police bribe and corruption. So in Guyana, the 2 people who are ruling Guyana, one is racial. Now, not all of you, but if you're in a group of people and they're doing wrong, and you're not opposing them, but you're with them, you just as much as them. Did not it said, show me the friends, and I tell you who you are. If you mix with preachers, you might be a preacher too. But if you mix with gamblers, whores, and thieves and drunkards, what do you expect? Come on. Imagine Jesus had 12 disciples. And according to Christian, you shouldn't drink rum and wine, but Jesus make the best wine. And 90% of the Arab in Egypt, Saudi Arabia, look what they got, women dancing with G-string and they're putting money between their crotch. Think of it. But yet, we pray to Allah, Bhagwan, and God. And yet, we want to go to bed with brother wife. We want to take advantage of the less fortunate woman because they have nothing to eat and need a few dollars to feed themselves and children. And we are talking to God, and we are talking about this race bad and that race bad. Then the Indian in Guyana, and you black people accept your fault. Again, not all, but we got to put it across the board. Because they're decent one amongst you, honorable. Same goes to the Indian, and we got to put it across the board. Indian, you are so corrupt that a snake will run from you. Trust me. If God should take you all to heaven, and y'all could find a way to throw him out with his angels, he will be down here so fast because y'all will take away the wings. God still loves the devil and the angel to come out with wings. Y'all will take away their wings and throw it through the man. I don't know what will become of it. You Indians, you're vindictive, spiteful, jealousful, corrupt, confusing, and you're never wrong. A black person will accept their fault. That is why Jesus came and says, repent. Even Prophet Muhammad had to go to war with his own. And a spider, an insect saved his life. But you all are telling me, in the name of Allah, Prophet Muhammad, peace be unto him. Isa, peace be unto him. But you all are cursing me and want to cut me into pieces. And I tell you the truth. I tell all of you in Guyana today, we tried the PNC and the Burnham and Hoyt. But Hoyt was a different human being altogether. But Indian, you love whorehouse and rum shop. You love to humiliate the less fortunate. You have no respect for your brother's wife because you make a song begging your brother's wife, give me lil na bauji me body na ganoy day batika. But when Canary sing the song, open the door, let the man come in. All we are one family, and you run to Burnham, and the Mahat's about to take it off. Why? You all only do what is right for you because you feel you're right and everybody else is wrong. You Indian. The courthouse full with y'all. The rum shop full with you. But the modern generation have to make a stand. Trust no politician. They come hugging you, talking sweet. And when you put them in there, they drive past on the street like you don't exist. Like some fly-by-night preachers. God talked to them. Jesus talked to them. And they got 3-piece suit, fancy car, big house, minding dogs and cats. And the congregation hungry don't have a place to eat, much less sleep. They would not even bring a meal. Come on. Ladies and gentlemen, for the love of humanity and yourself, listen and do what is right. Because what has happened in the past, we cannot hold the modern generation for the fault of our ancestors. God is the creator and he can do everything. Why he allow it? Answer me. Why he allow it? Then when you do me something, I go to the court, they bribe, and I lost my case because of corruption. Take Mohan Lal in Canaan, the black egress and aggress. Until now, I hear the government doing nothing about it. Because the NDC in Craig, and I heard the man crippled. I said, if it is true, praise be to Allah, Bhagwan God. Because I have told him that. Yes. Wicked. He would sell his mother and maybe his daughter for $1 because he loved money. But there is a God. The wrong you all do to people will come back to haunt you. I saw in a video in Guyana, the police, a young police officer. But, these things could be computer too, but the people, the young black brothers, they were fighting out, so that's the police who shoot. A young man was sitting on the bed with a woman, maybe they were having sex, and blast about 5 bullets in him. Now I do not know why he do that. If you meet a man on a bed having a romantic moment, you have no right to shoot him but arrest him. And I think the government should look into that, strip him from the uniform, take away his badge, and charge him for murder. And if the woman is his wife, lying on bed with another man, why kill the man and then kill the woman? If she didn't open up the door, he couldn't enter there. It is on Facebook. So I am calling on the Ali presidency. The DPP, look into it. I don't care if it's the Prime Minister's son, if it's the President God's son, or whoever. It's just a crime against humanity. Because if the young woman had the young man on the bed that we have seen, if these things are not computed and it's true, he need to, out of the police force, immediately arrest and charge for murder. And if the guy had committed a criminal active act, and they were looking for him and he kicked down the door, and he see them on the bed in a nude situation, he had no right to shoot them because the man had no ammunition on him. So I'm calling on the government to look into it and arrest him. Lock him up. His place should be in the bottom of the jail. Come on. But, again, some minister was accused for raping an Amerindian woman. It's alleged. So many things happen. Young black women, old women take the street in protest. And a few Indians, Amerindians. We don't know what conspired. Some minister, they say, get involved. It's all alleged. And sudden, the girl retract her statement. It's alleged. So, then I heard this woman went to the UN or some way, an African descendant, and I go say black because that's what you all know. I wouldn't mention her name for her own safety. And the way she spoke of the Coolie government, what they do to black people, but she forget the Chinese, the Amerindian, she forget the mixed race, the Portuguese, but she said what they do to the African women. Always remember this, madam. Indian people are very revengeful. Get that clear. If a young man could tell his brother, wife, to give you some sexy, brother wants no. The young black girl is naughty, brother, wife. Think. And if he rapes, she should be killed. But if you go for your money because they make you hungry, so you got to depend on them. Okay? Because you need their money, so you prostitute yourself for your hunger. And that is what politicians do. They keep you hungry because you got to vote to put them back with false promises. They killed Jesus. They make Muhammad went to war. And you might say, how they killed Jesus? Let me tell you how. Pontius Pilate was the governor. And he decided to give Jesus a chance because his wife used to go and hear how the man preach. And they accuse him from anything. So Pontius Pilate feel if he bring out one of the most destructive criminals, he will be able to set Jesus free. And he acts as lawyer for Jesus. Not prosecutor, a lawyer. A governor now, ladies and gentlemen, when he said these words, here I have two prisoners. This one is accused for certain things of crime, and the other one, as all of you know, well known, Barabbas, a whoremonger, a drunkard, a gambler, a thief. The way he spoke about Barabbas, he feel the crowd would have said, kill Barabbas and set Jesus free. But because the crowd that gathered was hungry, and the business people, the high priests, and the corrupt business people that was making business at the synagogue, the church, or wherever, when Jesus says his father's house is not a place for this, and loose the thing and beat up some of them. That was it. They bribed the hungry belly people, like the politicians are bribing y'all to vote for them. They promise you education. But if your head hard, education don't mean nothing to you. If you're ignorant and you don't mean to get wise, education don't mean anything to you. Come on. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm only asking you all to examine. Under Burner, were you better off? Height, you had a chance of existence. No rape, no killing. And it's alleged every ranger said to many black boys was in prison. It's alleged, not a pledge. So I want you all to understand clearly here today. Politicians all over the world, from Africa to India, from Russia all the way to the Caribbean and Latin and South America are liars. Imagine Venezuela just had an election. The opposition in the world at large says Maduro rigged the election. Of course, there's a possibility. But America giving time for bring another election or a sanction will continue like what they do with Hugo Chavez. But we could sanction other country, but we cannot sanction Israel that massacring children, women, and everything. But all we heard is 7th of October. Ladies and gentlemen, I love the Jews. A lot of decent, honorable Jewish people, like Indian and blacks, like Chinese and Europeans. But you have some disease amongst all race, covetous, vindictive, spiteful, racial, and very corrupt. And that's what we have to live with. So, my friends, why no sanction? We are running an election here. And the DNC had a thing the other day where Miss Harris was to accept the nomination to run for the president, and I congratulate the woman or anyone who wanted to do good with good intention. But I saw an Arab woman or whatever who was denied the rights to speak. Now, if democracy is right and freedom of speech, and she's a member of the Democratic Party, and some minister or some Congress people, why she was not able to speak. But we had musicians. We had a lot of celebrities. But we couldn't have one person to talk on behalf of what she or him heard. I looked the speech. And the man who speak the best was a man whose son is kidnapped on the 7th of October. I want you to play that speech and listen what he says. And that brings me back to the late Mahatma Gandhi, when he told India, after being deported from South Africa, and he kissed the ground like the Pope, and uniting Muslim and Hindus. He said, if you take one eye out from me and I take one eye out for you, we all going to be walking blind. Great teaching. And another very honorable leader, South Africa, Nelson Mandela. A soul will always be remembered. Was locked up to 27 years in Pretoria jail in South Africa under the de Klerk government. He was set free under President Ronald Reagan. And he invited the prosecutor to have dinner with him after locking him up so long. Even the white prosecutor had to admit, I have never seen a man like this. And he was defending his country. So friends, there's good and bad in every nationality and every race. Let's unite. And if the Ali government is doing good in Guyana, it's our duty to support him, because in any business they have theft. We are ordinary. We hire people to work, you pay them good, they still thief. And another thing, if people come into Guyana to do business and they need a visa and they got to bribe to get it, then it's corruption. The government should look into it, move all the workers around and move the police them around. Make sting operation, and if you catch them thieving, how many government is in the country? And I'm talking about the Home Affairs Department, and I am talking about housing and other places. Do sting operation. If you catch them, don't jail them, execute them. Because when you go to the bathroom, you get rid of shit. You don't keep it in your body. All right? You get rid of your feces or your urine. You don't keep it. That is what life is all about. It's like when we meet our time in life, we have to decease. We dead and gone. A new generation take over. If not, we would have got men living and women living on to this day for million, trillion years ago. Friends, thank you for listening. No hard feelings. Let's unite and put Guyana forward and open the door to the Caribbean, Africa, and elsewhere. Thank you.